Hi everyone, I'm Tang Tang from Susan's family. Today I'm bringing you a new design. Shiny scarf from the Secret Garden series. This design is divided into piece 1. Piece 2. A motif. And tassels. Start by crocheting piece 1. And once it's done, don't cut the yarn, continue crocheting piece 2. Then crochet the motif and sew it onto piece 1 and piece 2. Finally make the tassels and attach them to the fabric. First, crochet the piece. Section 1, Section 2, Section 3, and the connections. Crochet them one by one from bottom to top. Section 1 starts with the starting pattern. Then work back and forth along the starting pattern, crocheting upward. After completing the last row, don't cut the yarn. Continue crocheting section 2. After finishing, fasten off the yarn, reattach the yarn to section 1, and crochet section 3. After completing, connect the side seams of the pieces. The stitch techniques used include chain stitch, single crochet, double crochet, treble crochet, and double treble crochet. Decrease for front post treble crochet. Please watch my demonstration for the specific crocheting method. To make it easier to watch, I'll use cotton yarn for this demonstration. Colors are used randomly. For specific yarn, color scheme and hook size, please refer to the detail page of our product and the paper instructions. Start with a chain stitch. Left hand hanging yarn end. Right hand picks up the crochet hook. Make a knot. This knot at the beginning doesn't count as one stitch. Slightly tighten. Then work 5 chain stitches. Next, pick the first chain's braid. Pick one strand above it. Work 1 double treble crochet. Wrap the yarn around the hook 3 times. Insert into the corresponding position. Yarn over and draw through. Pull the yarn slightly longer here. The stitch should be worked loosely. Next, yarn over and draw through the first 2 loops. 4 loops remaining. Continue yarn over and draw through the first 2 loops. 3 loops remaining. Next, yarn over and draw through the first 2 loops. Finally, yarn over and draw through the 2 loops on the hook. 1 double treble crochet completed. At the same time, this is a starting pattern. The pattern here comes in different sizes. Work another size pattern going downward. First, work 4 chain stitches. Then work a treble crochet into the position of the triple crochet. Wrap the hook twice. Pick up the stitch of the triple crochet, which is under the 4 chain stitches. This big braid. Pick the front strand of this stitch and the strand on the left. Insert into these 2 strands at the same time. Then yarn over and pull through. Similarly, elongate the loop. There are 4 loops on the hook at this point. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. Repeat 3 times. Once. Twice. 3 times. Complete the treble crochet. The starting pattern is now complete. Demonstrate the starting pattern again. First, work 4 chain stitches. Then pick up the previous pattern. Pick the front strand of that stitch and the strand on the left. Work 1 treble crochet stitch. This completes another pattern. Continue working the starting pattern according to the chart. Each pattern contains a treble crochet or a double treble crochet. Pick up the previous pattern. The stitch of the treble crochet or double treble crochet. Insert the hook into the front strand and the left strand. Also, keep the stitch loose. Continue working until before the last starting pattern. When reaching the corresponding position, the last starting pattern is identical to the first one. First, work 5 chain stitches. Then pick up the corresponding 2 strands of the previous pattern. Work 1 double treble crochet. Once completed, the last starting pattern is now done. At the same time, the starting section is finished. After completing this, the starting part should lay flat. If it's curling too much, you can recrochet it and make the stitches even looser. Next, work the first row. First, chain 3 as the turning chain. These 3 chains count as 1 double crochet, then work a 2 chain stitch interval. Next, pick up the center gap of the starting pattern on the edge below. That's the space between the chain stitch and the double treble crochet. Work 1 single crochet in this position. Move down to the center gap of the adjacent starting pattern. Work 4 double crochets. Then work a decrease with front post treble crochets. Wrap the hook twice. From the front, pick up the right side of the current stitch and the position of the adjacent stitch. Insert the hook into the gap of the stitch on the right side. Pull out on the left side of the current stitch position. Then yarn over and draw through. Pull the yarn slightly longer. Next, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on the hook. Repeat this twice. Once. Twice. After completing this, the height should be similar to the adjacent stitches. There are still 2 loops left on the hook at this point. This is an incomplete front post treble crochet stitch. Next, pick up the current stitch and the starting chain stitch on the left side. Work an incomplete front post treble crochet stitch. Wrap the yarn over the hook twice. Insert the hook into the gap of the current stitch. Pull out through the gap of the starting chain stitch on the left side. Then yarn over and draw the yarn through. Pull it slightly longer. Next, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on the hook. Repeat this twice. Once. Twice. This way, the incomplete front post treble crochet stitch is done. At this point, there are still 3 loops left on the hook. Yarn over and draw through all loops in once. Complete the decrease for the front post treble crochet stitch. Next, behind this decrease stitch, pick up the corresponding starting chain stitch gap underneath. Work 4 double crochets. Here, I will work the 4 double crochets on both sides, and the decrease stitch in the middle. Treat them as a shell stitch pattern. Then pick the gap of the adjacent starting chain stitch pattern to the left. Work 1 single crochet. Then work 5 chain stitches as a bridge. Continue picking the gap of the next starting chain stitch pattern. Work 1 single crochet. After that, except for the decrease of the front post treble crochet, all other stitches are worked into the gaps of the starting chain stitch pattern. I won't explain in detail from now on. Work 1 shell stitch pattern downward. First pick the left gap and work 4 double crochets. Then pick the front side of the current starting pattern, and the left and right patterns. Work a decrease with front post treble crochets. First pick the right pattern and the current pattern position. Work an incomplete front post treble crochet. Then pick the current pattern and the left pattern position. Work another incomplete front post treble crochet. Finally, yarn over and draw through all loops on the hook. Complete the front post treble crochet decrease. Next, work behind the decrease. Pick the space of the current motif. Work 4 double crochets. Complete the shell stitch. Continue by picking the adjacent stitch space. Work 1 single crochet. 5 chain stitches as a gap. Then pick the next starting space. Work 1 single crochet. Continue alternating between working the shell stitch and 2 single crochets. Here, leave a 5 chain space between each 2 single crochets. Please refer to the previous steps or the chart for details. Continue crocheting downward. Finish this shell stitch motif. There's only one starting position left below. Pick the stitch space for the starting. Work 1 single crochet. 2 chain stitches. Then pick the chain stitch at the edge of this starting motif, which is the insertion point for the previous 3 treble crochet. Work 1 double crochet. Now the first row is completed. The side of this row with neat shell stitch texture will be the right side of the entire fabric. Also note that all decreases are made on the raised side of the fabric. The starting yarn tail is on the left side of the fabric. Now proceed to crochet the second row. First make 1 chain stitch to start. This is the turning chain for single crochet. It doesn't count as 1 stitch. Then turn the work over. Pick up the stitch from the edge of the previous row. Make 1 single crochet. When crocheting on the wrong side of the previous row, when crocheting on the back side of a row, when crocheting on the wrong side of the previous row, the stitches are located at the upper left. Insert the hook into the corresponding position. And continue crocheting. After completing, make 5 chain stitches as a bridge. Then pick up from above the shell stitch. Pick up the third stitch counting from the right to the left. Insert the hook into its stitch. Make 1 single crochet. 5 chain stitches as a bridge. Then skip 3 stitches. Meaning skip 3 stitch intervals. Slip the next stitch. Make 1 single crochet. This is perfectly the third stitch position counting from the left. Work 5 chain stitches downward. When encountering the chain space between single crochets from the previous row, correspondingly make 1 single crochet, 5 chain stitches as a bridge. Later, when meeting the shell stitch pattern, pick the third stitch counting from the right to the left, and the third stitch counting from the left to the right. Make single crochets into each of them, 5 chain stitches between the single crochets. At the same time, there are exactly 3 stitches skipped underneath here. After that, when meeting the space between single crochets, insert the hook into the space and make a single crochet. Between each single crochet, make a 5 chain stitch bridge. Continue crocheting following this method. You can also refer to the pattern chart for details. Finish the last single crochet on top of the shell stitch. Continue downwards with a 5 chain stitch bridge. Then pick up the top of the turning chain from the previous row's edge, from the right side of the fabric. Count up 3 chains from the bottom. Pick up at this chain position. Pick up the 2 strands closest to the edge. Make 1 single crochet. If you're having trouble finding the exact spot, you can simply insert the hook into the chain space below. Now the second row is complete. Continue to the third row. The stitch pattern is similar to the first row, except the starting and ending stitches, and the placement of the shell stitch are slightly different. Start with 4 chain stitches as the beginning. These 4 chains count as 1 treble crochet, then make a 2 chain stitch space. Turn your work over. Pick up the chain space at the edge below. Work 1 single crochet into the corresponding position. Then move on to the adjacent chain space to the left. And the position of the 2 single crochets. Crochet a shell stitch pattern. First pick up the chain space, and make 4 double crochets. Then into the position of the 2 single crochets. Work a front post double crochet decrease. Insert the hook from the right side of the single crochet. Come out on the left side. Pick up the corresponding single crochet. After completing, pick up behind the decrease. Into the same chain space make 4 double crochets. Complete the shell stitch pattern. At the same time, this pattern matches up with the previous one. Move left and pick up 2 chain spaces to work single crochets. 5 chain stitch space between the single crochets. After completing, move left to pick up the corresponding chain space and 2 single crochets. Crochet the shell stitch pattern. First pick up the chain space, and make 4 double crochets. Then pick up the single crochet positions on both sides of the chain space. Work a front post treble crochet decrease. After that, pick up behind the decrease. Into the same chain space make 4 double crochets. Complete the shell stitch pattern. Continue by alternating the shell stitch pattern and 2 single crochets. Here 5 chain stitch space between the single crochets. Please refer to the previous steps or the chart for details. Continue crocheting downward. Complete the last shell stitch pattern. There's 1 chain space left downward. Correspondingly make 1 single crochet, 2 chains. Then pick up the single crochet stitch from the edge of the previous row. Make 1 treble crochet. At this point row 3 is completed. Now everyone check if the fabric is straight. If it's not straight enough, you can gently stretch it a bit. If it's still not straight, you'll need to restart the crochet, make the starting stitches a little looser. Also, you can refer to the chart to check the dimensions. If the size differs significantly, adjust your tension or switch to a different hook size and restart. Continue crocheting row 4 downward. The method is exactly the same as row 2. First chain 1 as the beginning chain. Turn the work. Pick up 1 stitch along the edge downward. Work 1 single crochet. Chain 5 as a space. Then work a single crochet into the top of the shell stitch. Both are the third stitch counted from right to left, and the third stitch counted from left to right. Chain 5 between each 2 single crochets. When reaching a hole between single crochets from the previous row, work a corresponding single crochet. Here, each single crochet is separated by a chain 5 space. Continue with this same method, or refer to the chart to continue crocheting. When reaching the edge, pick up the top of the turning chain from the previous row, which is the 4th chain counted upward from the bottom. Insert the hook into the 2 strands closest to the edge of the corresponding chain and work a single crochet. You can also simply work into the chain space directly. Row 4 is completed. For the remaining rows, continue crocheting in the same way as the previous 2 rows. Pay attention. The decrease for the shell stitch always stands out on the right side of the fabric, and the stitch position matches up perfectly. On the last row, the number of chains at both ends changes. Please refer to the chart carefully to avoid mistakes. If the yarn runs out while crocheting, you can tie a knot to join new yarn. Here, move the yarn tail to the wrong side of the fabric. Then position it close to the fabric. Tie both yarn tails into a double knot. Then leave the tails on the wrong side for now. Continue crocheting downward. This is the method for joining yarn. After completing the corresponding rows here, don't cut the yarn. Next, move on to crochet section 2. At this point, the explanation for section 1 is finished. Now proceed with section 2. Continue from the yarn that wasn't cut off from section 1. Mainly decrease stitches at the beginning and end. The new stitch techniques used are slip stitches, front post treble crochet, and decreases combining front post treble crochet with half double crochet. Please watch the demonstration. First, crochet row 1. I'll demonstrate using a swatch here. The row count is not for reference. Start with 4 chain stitches as beginning chain. Turn the work. On the shell stitch on the left side, make a single crochet in the 3rd stitch from the right. Continue crocheting towards the left following the chart. After completing the last 2 chain stitches, finish with 1 double crochet. Work that double crochet in the middle stitch of the 5 chains on the left side. Pick up 1-2 threads to crochet. Leave the remaining positions unworked for now. At this point, section 2 row 1 is completed. Continue to row 2. Start with 1 chain stitch as beginning chain. Turn the work. Skip 1 hole below. Work a shell stitch in the next hole. Continue crocheting downward following the chart. Complete the single crochet in the last hole. This completes row 2. Now work row 3. Simply turn the work. Skip 1 stitch. Make a slip stitch in the double crochet stitch on the left side. Do not tighten. A solid oval shape indicates not to tighten, unless otherwise specified later. It means not to tighten. Continue with 1 chain as a transition. Skip 1 stitch. Work 1 single crochet on the left side. Transition with 5 chains. Skip 3 stitches and work 1 single crochet. The rest follows the previous demonstration. Refer to the chart. Keep crocheting until the chain space between the last 2 single crochets. Now we're at this position. Continue with 5 chains as a transition. Work 1 single crochet on the 3rd stitch, above the shell stitch on the left side. Transition with 3 chains. Skip 2 stitches and work 1 single crochet. This completes the 3rd row. Move on to crochet the 4th row. Work 2 chains as beginning chain. Turn the work. The next stitch is a front post treble crochet. The method is to first work an incomplete front post treble crochet. Starting from the right side of this single crochet on the left side, come out on the left side to crochet. After completing the incomplete front post stitch, there are still 2 loops remaining. Yarn over and pull through all loops at once. This completes 1 front post treble crochet. Next, behind this stitch, pick up through the chain space below and work 3 double crochets. After that, work 1 single crochet in the left side space. Chain 5 as a transition. Work 1 single crochet in the next chain space. Work a shell stitch in the next chain space. Continue crocheting downward following the chart. Keep crocheting until reaching the second to last large chain space on the left side. After completing the single crochet on the second to last space, work 3 double crochets in the left side chain space. The next stitch is a decrease combining a front post treble crochet and a half double crochet. Start by working in front of the double crochet. Insert the hook into the right side single crochet and work 1 incomplete treble crochet. After completing that, work 1 incomplete half double crochet in the left side single crochet stitch. Yarn over once. Insert the hook into the stitch. Yarn over and draw through. There are now 4 loops on the hook. Yarn over once, and draw through all loops. This completes the decrease combining front post treble crochet and half double crochet. This completes row 4. For rows 5 to 7 that follow, please simply follow the chart for crocheting. Pay attention to the stitch pattern changes on the edge. The last stitch of row 6 can be worked in the chain space, or in the middle chain stitch. Pick 1 to 2 threads to work the stitch. After completing that, work row 8. Turn the work over directly. Pick up the chain space on the left side, and make 1 slip stitch. Chain 1 as a transition. In the same chain space, make another slip stitch. Continue crocheting by following the chart downward. Work all the way down to the last chain space. Pay attention that the last chain space is for a slip stitch. This completes row 8. For the next 2 rows, please simply follow the chart for crocheting. Once completed, now let's crochet the last row. Turn the work over directly. Pick up the chain space on the left side, and make 4 double crochets. Next stitch is a front post treble crochet decrease. Because we're currently on the wrong side of the piece, the fabric shows the right side texture. So here we need to make a back post double crochet decrease. The crocheting method is similar to the front post treble crochet decrease, except the insertion position is different. Starting from the back of the double crochet, from right to left, pick up and make a single crochet. Let me point out the insertion position again. Crochet slowly. This completes the back post double crochet decrease. From the right side it shows the front post treble crochet decrease texture. Then in front of the decrease, make 4 double crochets in the same chain space as the double crochet. Be mindful not to wrap the decrease into the stitches. Make a slip stitch in the left chain space. Secure with a chain stitch at the end. Leave a 10 cm yarn tail and break the yarn. Thread the needle. Weave the yarn tail into the wrong side of the fabric. Hide it along the texture of the fabric. That's the crochet method for section 2. Once section 2 is completed, next we'll crochet section 3. Find the insertion position of the last stitch in the first row of section 2. Join the yarn here. Pay attention that the wrong side of the shell stitch is facing you. Insert the hook into the placement of the double crochet. Get the yarn. Start with a slip knot. Insert the hook into the knotted loop. Draw the yarn through. Adjust the loop size. The yarn joining is complete. Start with 4 chain stitches. The following is the same as the stitch pattern of the first row of section 2. Everyone refer to the insertion point shown in the chart when crocheting. After completing the last 2 chain stitches, work 1 double crochet at the end. Work it into the starting chain on the left side. At this point, the first row of section 3 is complete. The crocheting method for the following rows is the same as section 2. Just follow the pattern chart to crochet. Finally, cut the yarn and weave in the ends. That's all for the crocheting method of section 3. After completing section 3, let's talk about joining now. It's about connecting the side edges of the fabric pieces. To form a tubular shape in the end. Place the right sides of the fabric together, with the wrong sides facing out. Locate the last stitch of the first row of section 2 and the first 4 chain stitches of the first row of section 3. Insert the hook through both layers at the same time. Pick up a loop at this position. Start joining the yarn. First work 4 chain stitches. Then skip a small distance, about the same length as these 4 chains. Work a slip stitch. Pay attention here. Make sure the rows correspond front and back. If you have stitch markers at home, you can use them at the joining position. Mark a few evenly spaced points. If you don't have any, you can also use a thread to mark, to avoid misalignment when joining. After completing the slip stitch, work 3 chain stitches as a transition. On the left side, skip a small distance and work a slip stitch. The length should be about the same as these 3 chains. There's no requirement for the insertion position, just pick a few strands along the edge and crochet into them. After this, simply work 3 chain stitches each time. Then skip a small distance and work a slip stitch. Keep crocheting and check if the fabric lies flat. If it's not flat, adjust the insertion position of the slip stitch. Everyone follow this method. Keep connecting until you reach the starting chain of the pattern. Once completed, don't cut the yarn at the end. That's all for fabric piece 1. After completing fabric piece 1, next we'll work on fabric piece 2. Fold fabric piece 1 in half along the side seam marking. Then continue crocheting upward from the starting chain of the pattern. Please watch the demonstration. Take fabric piece 1. Continue working on row 1 from the yarn tail that wasn't cut earlier. Follow the chart. Start by crocheting 6 chain stitches. Then turn the fabric to the right side. Insert the hook into the center gap of the stitch group on the left side, and work one single crochet. Note that since one side of the fabric piece has been connected, the starting position is effectively along the connected seam. The folding has been done. When working the single crochet here, you'll insert the hook through the center gaps of both front and back starting chain groups together. Continue with 6 chain stitches as a bridge. Work a single crochet into the center gap of the starting chain group on the left side. Pay attention, you're passing through both front and back layers at the same time. The back side is done the same way. First work 6 chain stitches as a transition. Then work a single crochet into the center gap of the starting chain group on the left side. Keep working all the way to the starting chain area. After completing the last stitch, everyone can check the number of chain holes by referring to the chart. Once that's correct, the first row is done like this. Now let's work the second row. First, make 6 chain stitches. Turn the work over. Work a single crochet into the hole on the left side. 6 chain stitches as a transition. Work one single crochet into the next hole. For the rest, work single crochets into the chain spaces. Between each 2 single crochets, make 6 chain stitches as a bridge. Keep going until the last hole is completed. This completes the second row. Next, let's work the third row. The method is similar to the second row. Start by making 6 chain stitches. Turn the work over. Work a single crochet into the chain space. Between each 2 single crochets, make 6 chain stitches as a transition. Continue until the last hole is done. This completes the third row. After that, follow the demonstration of row 2 and row 3, refer to the chart and work until the last row, or crochet until you reach the desired length. Please pay attention to the number of chain stitches in the last row. Follow the chart for crocheting. Once the last row is completed, fasten off and weave in the ends. That's all for the crochet method of piece 2. Next, we'll learn how to crochet and sew the motifs. There are several types of motifs. In total, there are 3 large motifs. and 1 leaf. The rest are small motifs. Except for the leaf, all others start with a magic ring, and then worked in rounds. The leaf starts with a chain, and then worked flat. Please note that all motifs are crocheted using variegated yarn. Variegated yarn has multiple color segments. The starting position of each motif may fall on a different color, resulting in different final effects. You can refer to the finished product, or choose based on your own preference. Start crocheting from the desired color section of the variegated yarn. To make it easier to watch, I'll demonstrate using regular cotton yarn here. Next, I'll explain the crocheting method for each motif one by one. Then I'll explain the layout and sewing of the motifs. First, let's learn how to crochet the first large motif. Start with an adjustable magic ring. Then work the first round. Chain 3. Then in the ring, yarn loop, make 15 double crochets. When completed, tighten the magic ring loop. Finally, on the beginning chain, make 1 slip stitch. Pull tight, pay attention. Solid circle indicates the slip stitch needs to be pulled tight. Solid oval shape indicates the slip stitch doesn't need to be pulled tight. A tightened slip stitch doesn't count as 1 stitch. Continue to crochet round 2. First make 16 chain stitches. My sample has fewer chain stitches here. Next, make 2 more chain stitches. Then work into the 3rd chain from the hook. Pick up 1-2 strands. Work a half double crochet. Continue on the adjacent chain to the left. Work a double crochet into each stitch correspondingly. Crochet all the way down the chain space. We'll call the part we just crocheted a petal. Next, on the 2nd double crochet stitch from the left side of the beginning chain. Slip stitch. Then crochet the 2nd petal. That is, first chain the same amount. Then make 2 chains. Work a half double crochet in the 3rd chain from the end. Work a half double crochet into each remaining chain correspondingly. The 2nd petal is completed. Skip 1 slip stitch. Repeat this process. Crochet the remaining 6 petals. After each petal is completed, move on to the next one. You need to skip 1 slip stitch. After the last petal is completed, slip stitch into the beginning chain. Pull tight. The second round is complete. The sample here skips some petals. Continue with round 3. First, slip stitch into the double crochet stitch below the first petal. Pay attention. When crocheting the slip stitch, insert the hook into the stitch from behind the petal. Then crochet the petal. After each petal is completed, skip the stitch below the next petal. Insert the hook into the stitch like this and make a slip stitch. Then crochet the petal. Continue crocheting this round of petals. After the last petal is completed, slip stitch into the starting slip stitch. Join with a slip stitch to finish. Now, the third round of the swatch is completed. If you're crocheting motif 1 small, the first round is the same as the large motif 1. The crocheting method for the second round is also the same as the large one, only with fewer stitches per petal. Just follow the chart for crocheting, or you can adjust based on your needs. Adjust the size of the petals yourself, like this. That's all for the 2 sizes of motif 1. Next, let's learn the large motif 2. First, start with a magic ring. Then chain 4. Which counts as 1 treble crochet, then crochet 1 chain. Next, alternate between 1 treble crochet and 1 chain. Not counting the turning chain, crochet a total of 14 treble crochets. Once done, close the ring. Join with a slip stitch on the 4th chain. Which is the second chain from the right of this treble crochet? The first round is complete. Continue to crochet round 2. First, chain 1, then in the space on the left side, work 2 single crochets. Continue by working in the spaces each time. Work 2 single crochets in each space. Complete this round. Join with a slip stitch in the first single crochet stitch. The second round is complete. Continue to crochet round 3. First, chain 5, which counts as 1 double treble crochet, then chain 6 more. Next, work 1 single crochet in the second single crochet. Continue working on the next 3 stitches on the left side. Work 1 single crochet in each space. When done, chain 6. In the adjacent stitch on the left side, work 1 double treble crochet, which means yarn over 3 times. Insert the hook. Pull the yarn through. Yarn over one after another. Pull the yarn through the first 2 loops on the hook. The double treble crochet is completed. Adjacent stitch on the left side, work 1 double treble crochet again. Chain 6. Four stitches on the left side, work 1 single crochet in each stitch. For easier explanation, we'll refer to the 6 chain stitches as 2 double treble crochets, 6 chain stitches and 4 single crochets as one group. Continue working 3 groups. The middle of the swatch is omitted. After finishing, complete the first incomplete group, which means chain 6. 1 double treble crochet. Finally join with a slip stitch on the 5th chain stitch. The third round is complete. Continue to crochet the 4th round. First, make 1 slip stitch in the large space on the left side. Bring the yarn to this large space position. Then chain 5. Next, work 4 treble crochets in the large space in sequence. 4 double crochets, 1 half double crochet and 1 single crochet. After completing, in the middle 2 stitches of these 4 single crochets, work 1 single crochet in each. Then in the large space on the left side, crochet symmetrical stitches here. That is, work 1 single crochet, 1 half double crochet, 4 treble crochets, and 1 double treble crochet. After completing, make a picket of 5 chain stitches, which means first chain 5. Then pick up through the front loop of this double treble crochet, and the 1 thread on the left side. Make 1 slip stitch. Pick it complete. Crochet the same stitches as before in the left side hole, meaning symmetrical stitches to this side. After completing, on the middle 2 stitches, work 2 single crochets. Next, follow this group's crochet method. According to the chart, finish this round. Slip stitch into the beginning chain to join. After completing round 4, continue to round 5, chain 2, which counts as 1/2 double crochet, then on the left stitch, work 3 half double crochets and 6 single crochets in sequence. After completing, skip 4 single crochets. Start from this half double crochet stitch. Crochet symmetrical stitches as the front side. After completing, work 2 half double crochets in the space. 2 chain stitches and 2 half double crochets. Crochet symmetrical stitches on this side. Next, follow this crochet method. According to the chart, finish this round. After finishing crocheting, continue to complete round 6 by referring to the chart. Note, skip 2 stitches at each dent. This way, the instructions for Motif 2 are complete. If you're making the small version of Motif 2, just complete the first 4 rounds of Motif 2. Next, let's move on to Motif 3. First, start with a magic ring. Then follow the chart to complete the first 3 rounds. Round 1 is worked with single crochets. There are many stitches. The center won't close tightly. There will be a large hole in the center. Round 2 is worked by alternating 1 double crochet and 3 chains. Round 3 is worked by crocheting the corresponding number of single crochets, half double crochets and double crochets into the chain spaces, half double crochets and double crochets. I've already finished the first 3 rounds. Next, I'll demonstrate round 4. First, make 1 chain. Then on the turning chain of round 2, work 1 back post single crochet, which means pick up the turning chain from the back like this. And work 1 single crochet. The back post single crochet is done. 7 chains. For the rest of this round, on the double crochet of round 2, work 1 back post single crochet every other stitch. Connect with 7 chains between each. Once completed, slip stitch to the first stitch. Round 4 is done. Continue to crochet round 5. I've already crocheted it. This round is simply working the corresponding stitch into each large space. Just crochet the matching stitch into each space. After finishing, continue to crochet round 6. This round is simply working one back post single crochet on each back post single crochet. Crochet one back post single crochet on each. Connect with 9 chains between each. Round 7 is working the corresponding stitch into each large space. Crochet one back post single crochet each. Connect with 11 chains between each. Follow the chart. Finish the first 8 rounds. Now I've already completed the first 8 rounds. After finishing it, start working on each large petal. Each large petal is worked separately for 7 rows. After finishing one petal, move on to the next. First, work on row 1 of the first petal. Make 1 chain. Then in the large space, work the corresponding stitches in order. After completing it, crochet 1 slip stitch. Then work on row 2, make 1 chain. Turn the work. Start from this single crochet stitch. Correspondingly make single crochets. Continue all the way to the starting single crochet position. After completing it, continue to crochet row 3. Make 1 chain. Turn the work. On the first 3 stitches, make 1 single crochet, 1 half double crochet and 1 double crochet. Then on the left side 3 stitches, make 2 double crochets together. After completing it, make 8 double crochets in the middle, then crochet symmetrically with the front part. Finally make a slip stitch on the slip stitch of row 1. Slip stitch. If you can't find the exact position, approximately is fine. Continue to crochet row 4. This row is the same as row 2. Make 1 single crochet in each stitch, respectively. Pay attention, leave the slip stitch unworked. After completing it, continue to crochet row 5. The stitch pattern of this row is similar to row 3. Everyone refer to the chart. Finish the last single crochet. Finally, make a slip stitch on the slip stitch from row 3, slip stitch. Continue to crochet row 6. First, work single crochets evenly, all the way to the last stitch position. After completing, on this side edge, pick up a few strands along the edge, approximately evenly crochet 3 single crochets, and slip stitch on the side edge of row 1. Row 6 is completed. Continue to crochet row 7. Work 1 chain stitch. Turn the work over. Then on this single crochet, crochet 1 twisted single crochet. First insert into the stitch. Pull the yarn through. Slightly pull the loop longer. Wrap around the stitch like this. Yarn over again, pull the yarn through. 1 twisted single crochet is done. Continue to work twisted single crochets evenly into each stitch. First complete the stitches on row 6. Once completed, on this edge, evenly work about 3 twisted single crochets. Once completed, join with a slip stitch in this large space. 1 complete large petal is done. Continue using the same method. Finish crocheting all the remaining petals. Each time, work 1 chain directly. Then start crocheting in this large space. Finish each round with a slip stitch in the large space. Up to this point, motif 3 is completed. Continue to learn small flower 3, start with an adjustable magic ring, and finish the first round. I have already finished it. Move on to crochet the second round. Work 3 chains, then work a DC4 bobble stitch. First, work in the first single crochet stitch. Make 4 incomplete double crochets. Yarn over. Pull through all loops at once. Complete the DC4 bobble stitch. 5 chains. This round is to alternately crochet 1 bobble stitch and 5 chains. Each bobble stitch is separated by one stitch. Following this pattern, finish this round. Once completed, continue to crochet the third round. Work one chain, then work the corresponding stitches in this hole. That's it, the complete small motif 3 is done. Next, let's learn how to crochet the leaf. First, chain the corresponding number of stitches. The swatch uses fewer chains to start. Then work on the first row. Start by chaining 3. Then slip stitch into the fourth chain from the hook. Next, pick up half loops on the top one by one. Make single crochets. Keep crocheting until one chain is left. Done. On the remaining chain, crochet 3 single crochets into the same stitch. If you have trouble finding the middle stitch of these 3 later on, place a marker in the stitch loop of the center stitch. Completed. Starting from the adjacent chain space on the left side, pick up the remaining 2 strands of the chain. Continue working single crochets one by one corresponding, meaning insert the hook into the same position as the previous side single crochet. Pay attention, not starting from the insertion point of these 3 single crochets. You can also weave in the entire tail now. Now, I've completed the first row. Let's continue with the second row. First, work 3 chains. Turn the work. Then pick up the front loop of the first single crochet. Which is the strand closest to you? Slip stitch. Continue picking up the front loops and work single crochets correspondingly. Keep crocheting until right before the stitch marker. Once done, at the marker position, continue picking up the front loop, work a 3 single crochets in 1 stitch, meaning to make 3 single crochets at the same time. After completing that, continue marking the middle stitch. Next, pick up the front loop, work single crochets correspondingly. Keep crocheting until 1 single crochet remains. Leave the last single crochet unworked. Row 2 is completed. Continue with row 3. Work 3 chains. Turn the work. Pick up the back loop of the first single crochet, slip stitch. This row is worked by picking up the back loops only, that is, the strand of the stitch that's farther away from you. The crochet pattern is roughly the same as row 2. First, work single crochets correspondingly. Crochet all the way up to the stitches before the marker. Once done, make a 3 single crochets in the middle stitch. If you have trouble finding the exact middle stitch later on, simply mark it after each completion. Then work single crochets correspondingly. Leave the last 2 single crochets unworked at the end. Now, I've completed row 3. Continue crocheting rows 4 to 8. For the following even-numbered rows, pick up the front loop of the stitch only. For odd-numbered rows, pick up the back loop of the stitch only. In the middle area, except for the last row, work a 3 SC in 1, 3 single crochets in 1 stitch. Pay attention, the last row also requires chaining 3 at the end, and insert the hook at the last single crochet's position. Make a slip stitch. Next, please refer to the chart and complete the leaves with corresponding amounts. If smaller leaves are needed, you can reduce the number of starting chains and rows appropriately. Once all motifs are done, start from the ending side of piece 2. Place the motifs onto the fabric. The starting large motif 3 has half of its position that doesn't need to be sewn onto piece 2. Actually arrange the motifs according to the position in the finished product photo. Note that not all motifs are sewn onto the main part. You can leave a little space without sewing them onto the main part. Or you can adjust the position based on personal preference. Some motifs are placed on top of another motif. This large motif one is sometimes only secured with a few stitches. Sometimes it doesn't need to be secured at all. Let it curl naturally. This large motif, when sewing, don't pull it straight. Just slightly wrinkled according to the sample shape. I'm using a stitch marker to secure it here. If you don't have stitch markers, you can use paper clips or safety pins instead, or you can also secure it with thread. Once everything is secured well, then start sewing. Below, I'll demonstrate the sewing method using this small sample. First, cut a long yarn tail. Here I'm using about 1 meter of thread. Thread the needle. First, secure the tail on the fabric piece. Once done, you can do a whip stitch, or sew through a few threads on the wrong side of the motif and the fabric. Or sew however you like, using your preferred sewing method. What to pay attention to in the middle. If sewing on fabric piece 1, don't let the stitches show on the other side. After sewing, tie a knot on the wrong side to secure it. That's all for this sewing method. Everyone sew all the motifs properly. Then take the purls. Refer to the position on the finished product picture. Sew 1 purl in the center of some motifs. Finally, tie off and weave in the ends. Make sure everyone hides all the yarn tails properly. That's all for the motif making method. Next, make the tassels. There are 2, made in the same way. After completing, sew one on the pointed end of fabric piece 1 and one on the symmetrical large motif. Now, let's sew. First, cut 3 pieces of 40 cm fixing thread, align them horizontally. Then, refer to the chart to cut the corresponding number and length of tassel threads. Place them on top of the fixing thread. Cross them in a cross shape. Then pick up the fixing thread with both hands. First, tie 2 knots to secure. Everyone pay attention to tie the knot in the centered position. Next, take another piece of thread, about 2 centimeters away from the knotted position. Wrap it around for about 1 centimeter in width. Pay attention to secure it firmly here, to prevent the ends from fraying. Once completed, take the 3 threads you just cut, and thread them together into the yarn needle. If they don't fit through, you can thread them separately. Then thread 1 white wooden bead, 1 brown wooden bead, and then sew them onto the fabric piece. Finally, weave in the yarn tails. Everyone, also weave in any remaining yarn tails. That's how you make 1 tassel. Follow this method. to make the other tassel as well. That's all for the tassels. Up to this point, the entire product has been fully explained. If you have any unclear points during the crocheting process, don't hesitate to contact our customer service. Susan's family, needle, yarn, sharing the joy of life. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.